You don't mind I wear masks, right? Like this is my signature.
Since I met you, you've kind of
Yeah,
had these different cultural influences. You have this very
exactly.
mixed culture. It's interesting for me
Yeah.
because you've never lived abroad. You didn't really spend much time with foreign people until...
Until about, yeah, university.
What was your first exposure to other cultures then? I'm curious.
What do you mean by, other cultures? Because Indonesia itself has a lot of cultures. So even if you like travel within an hour, that's gonna be another culture. My first exposure would be when I was a kid. My family would travel so much, and I was a shy kid. I didn't easily make friends. So my dad would be like, "Hey, talk to strangers. Maybe they know a thing or two." He kind of tell me different cultures of Indonesia. That's how I got to know customs and stuff. That's why it's very easy for me to get curious about other culture, because I've been just pretty much raised that way, to get curious of how others live.
Your parents were kind of pushing you to talk
Yeah,
to strangers, which is very
exactly.
different from my upbringing. What did you learn from people? Did you talk to strangers when you were younger?
Yeah, I did talk to strangers. Like when I was much younger, I was more curious about life. So I asked them like, how do you do this? How do you do that? What is like in your culture?
Uh-huh.
Or like, why do you do this? Why do you have this culture? I think that this is not right, but why do you do that? I don't exactly remember what kind of strangest culture or like the weird culture I've encountered. I've seen a lot of things, and it's kind of hard to actually pinpoint that certain culture that I think quite strange and quite different from my upbringing. I can never tell myself that I'm growing up in one culture because I grew up in a melting pot of culture that I absorb everything.
Does everyone in Indonesia have this kind of melting pot experience? Or I guess there's some places
No,
where it's
no, no.
very homogeneous, right?
Yeah, there are some places where it's very homogeneous. According to many Indonesian, I'm quite lucky to have such upbringing.
Oh.
It's not a lot of people are trusting their children to travel somewhere and then talk to strangers. I even got so many questions. Why do you travel alone? Are your parents allowing you to travel alone? And I was around like 17 or 18 that time. And even now, I still get that questions. But then I told them that I just like to learn other people's cultures. Sometimes I learned it the difficult way, or like it was unpleasant, travel experience or something.
I mean, first you were traveling with your family and they kind of pushed you to talk to people, and then you
Yeah,
started traveling
yeah.
alone.
Yeah. My exposure to, for instance, foreign culture would be when I was in 7th grade, when I started having internet. I think internet plays a lot for me to learn other people's cultures as well, especially the foreign culture. My first internet friend was from Nepal. That made me ended up speaking the language, understanding the culture. How most people there really wanted to be a nurse, a doctor, or anything in medical field. And it kind of influenced the way I see life. The only thing that matters in life is when you become medical assistants or like engineers. Because I have a lot of friends who dream to be like that. But then I got exposure to some other cultures where they think life is just as you make it. It doesn't matter if you want to be a doctor or something, but then...
I was kind of confused about everything growing up because what I heard from people was different from the reality sometimes.
Yeah.
Everyone said, be whatever you want. You can be whatever you want. You don't have to be a doctor or a lawyer. But then at the same time, you kind of had this push in the background, like, no, you should be a doctor or a lawyer.
Exactly. That's the kind of culture that I grew up in my family. Like my mom would always tell me, just be whatever you want to be. But then when I look at other cultures, even in and outside of my country, it's like, no, you have to be a lawyer. You have to be this. You have to be that. And I'm like, that's why now I'm confused of who I want to be. Because I have so much freedom to choose what I want in life.
When you're young, you don't have any exposure to real working people so much, except for your parents
Exactly.
and your friends. I was kind of led to believe that if you're not like one of these top positions, you're basically struggling all the time. There's some truth to that, but it's not like everyone is just living awful lives. There are a lot of people struggling, but there are also a lot of different opportunities and different ways to live life where you can still have a good life. Because I was kind of in like a quiet bubble in the suburbs. I think if I were in the city, I would have seen a lot more variety. Probably why I don't like the suburbs that much. It's not like I don't understand why people like the suburbs. It's just you don't have as much to explore there. Like I had people from all over the world and they were all trying to be the same. And they were all trying to like fit into America. We were pretty open-minded. If you were from Indonesia or from Africa or whatever, we just like, okay, You like it here, you speak the language, you feel like you want to get involved in the community, okay, you belong here, right? There wasn't really pushing people away, although like sometimes there were kind of like stupid stereotypes and everything. I felt like everyone was trying so hard to fit in. Even if people accepted you, they accepted you for being like them. So it's like if you conform to America, then you're American. If you don't conform to America, you're not American. This made people really insecure about their home countries. And a lot of people, they were running away from bad situations too. They came from kind of poor areas of India, or there were a lot of Russians and Polish too, I guess. A lot of them are second generation, third generation. Their parents ran away from a bad situation to get to America.
Yeah, got it.
And so they always talk bad about their home country. And so we just got this image like this is the best there is. Everything else is striving to be like this.
Yeah.